Hi, everyone. It's Caitlin Stablaski, the Assistant Director at the Institute of Beauty and Wellness. I'm so excited you're here for our guest speaker today, Ginger Boyle, who's going to be doing upstyling with us. Today, we're going to have two opportunities for those of you that are joining us live to win a prize. So comment below during the presentation, and McKenna and Ginger are both going to be picking winners at the end of our presentation. So stay tuned for that. Ginger Boyle is the owner and master stylist of Planet Salon in LA, California. She's built her reputation of the past 30 years as one of the most sophisticated stylists, gifted teachers, and popular platform artists in the country. She's provided advanced training and continued education to beauty industry professionals across the country. We've seen her work in Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, Glamour, Interview, and Mademoiselle magazines. Up next, Ginger Boyle.
Hi. Well, I'm excited to be here. Hi to everybody in Milwaukee and Madison. This presentation I'm going to do is going to be kind of a continuation from what I did when I was there in November. So we're going to be doing some hairdressing. So I started with the mannequin. I'm going to do two today. I started with a mannequin that had layered hair because I have so many guests who want wedding hair and they have the shag and the layers. And I was having challenges trying to figure what to do. So the first thing I did is I started with cherry almond bark, shampoo and conditioner. Then I just flat wrapped, just did a flat brush, the Aveda paddle brush. And then I did a set with a curling iron about an inch and a half, inch and a quarter. So either one works very well to start doing a set that you can just clip in loosely. So now I'm going to take these out. I kind of started taking them out before because it's kind of just as the prep work. But your prep work is the most important thing for when you're doing hair. How are you going to get that hair ready for styling? So this is what I did. Clips, what you need on this set is clips. The products I'll be using, Air Control, Shine, primarily, and a rat tail comb and a brush, a paddle, or a Mason Pearson brush. Trying to make sure I get all these clips out. And during the time I'm working, I have my husband here with me, and you can ask questions. Okay, so one thing, paddle brush, Mason Pearson, and the thing and the key to it is really brushing thoroughly, working with your hands to keep all the static down and really work the hair together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just share with you, and I hope we can see. And let me know. Again, I'm going to just keep brushing for the longer you actually brush the hair, the better. So if you can really work your hands through the hair and keep going, it's great. You can at any time take a little bit of air control. Make sure you shake the can and apply it. I did these roller set so that I went forward here and forward here so that I really don't see any kinks in there or dividing. So when I'm combing and brushing the hair and going to put it up, that it's not going to cause me any distraction. With this style, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a combination of braiding. And the reason I wanted the curls is to make it a little messier. Okay. So dividing the hair, take your tail comb, and I'm going to separate the front. I'm going to take right about behind the ear. Okay, and I know my mannequin stand is a little hard to move around, so I'm just going to show you on the other side. Large clips, section off. Taking the same distance over here, and this mannequin has bangs. So I thought that would be a good one. I did do another mannequin prep without bangs. So we have a couple things to work on, because when we're doing our styling, one thing that happens is we come across a combination of haircuts. Okay, so there we're going to clip these two, and you're going to see now for the back. Now I'm going to take a section in the back, a top section, where I want probably a little bit of height, and I'm going to V it. Just in that top section. And it's really about prepping your mannequin or prepping your client so that what happens is you really end up sectioning the hair properly. It went black, Robert. Okay. Sectioning is the most important thing. Can everybody see? Okay. All right. So now what we're doing, I'm going to start in the back, just like if I were doing a haircut. And if I were doing a haircut, what I would do is build from the bottom up, generally speaking. Okay, now I'm going to do a diagonal all the way across to the other side. Okay, so I've got two sections here. We've got a diagonal. I can clip this out of the way. And there we go. Now, as we know, when we're working in the salon, it's really very, very important how the head is placed and where the head is placed and where you stand. So again, I'm going to use a little bit of hairspray, hair control, shaking it up. Now, I'm going to use a braid. What I'm going to do is braid, a French braid, over to this side. So I'll try to direct that over. So you see how I don't see, because the way I set the hair, I'm not seeing any lines in there. So I wouldn't do a typical bricklayer. I would do a little bit of diagonal forward layer. All right. So now, starting the braid. Okay. I'll start with just a regular little braid, get my foundation in, and then I'm going to grab from the underneath. And again, grabbing from the underneath. Now, the important thing with this will be when you're moving around, making sure you're right in front of your work, trying to keep it as clean as possible. And I know when you have a set, you have a little bit more, the hair is, curly, it's a little harder to work with. Let's see, let's go up in there. All right. Now this is going to be a messy kind of wedding, kind of easy, fun, something that's great to know, to use on set. Going all the way over to my diagonal. I can't look up as much as I'd like to, but there we go. There's my last section. Hopefully we're there. Now you can see the curls work in there. All right. Now the key to it is I'm going to finish it off in a classic braid. Okay, just classic, braid it down kind of loosely, because remember, we don't want anything too perfectly structured here. What I'm also going to do then, leave this little bit out, and I'm going to take a rubber binder, and I'm just going to put it around very loose, like twice. Don't go too tight, well, twice. There we go. Because I want to actually take the braid and kind of loosen it up. So I'm going to take my fingers, loosen it up, and if we have that binder too tight, you can't loosen the hair. So working with loosening it, kind of loosen it up, and then I have this here, and I can already take it, put it in, I can leave the curls out, and have something to work with. So now I've got the first section done. I'm going to take and put a grip or a bobby in it. And so I'm not trying to open it up. I'm just trying to swirl, swirl, and twirl and pin it in. Okay. See if we can get it in. One bobby. Guess I got that. All right. I might need to do two. All right. Now going to my next section. So it's very loose, it's very soft, it's very sexy. Okay, let's take, and we're going to go on this side. And now I have to tell my cameraman I'm trying to get in front of my work. It's a little hard. Okay, because I've got to go over to this side. Okay, so we're going to do the same, and we're going to start up here on this side. I can't get in front of my camera correctly, but I'm going to start up here.
Put that back.
Huh? Can I put it back?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Okay, I'm taking a diagonal section. Since we did a diagonal this way, now we're going to take this section and go back. All right. Starting again. A little thicker this time because it's the second section. So I'm going to start it again with just your classic braid base. And then in French form, we are going to pick up from the bottom. And I know this is a little hard to see because my arm is in the way, but let's see. Loosely, taking it around. I have to take some from the top and some from the bottom. So we are just taking it first to get a better balance. I hope you can see through what I'm doing. Top and bottom. Boy, it'd be fun to do it on a real head of hair. Right? Keeping around.
All right, we have a question from Courtney Duran. She wants to know, what are your most half or updos?
My
Must have
most
updos.
must-have updos?
Yeah.
Well, everybody likes sexy. They really like soft and messy. And I would say our most asked for, we are seeing a lot of wedding hair coming up. And so I find very, very simple and not too complicated. You know, things like this, that where we braid, we soften, we go in there and zhuzh it, you know, a little bit. And I'll be showing you what I mean by that. And so there's my last section in from the top. But those are my most asked for things, are really simple. And then wanting it to last. So as I showed in my last class, things I love to do is set the hair. And then I also love to work a lot with sewing it in. Okay, again, a band, a little plastic rubber band going around twice. Now, as we loosen it up,
Okay, we have another question from Michael.
yes, Michael.
He wants to know, what's your favorite type of updo?
My favorite type? Oh, let's see. Well, sometimes I love to do period hair, like rockabilly or even like Amy Winehouse. Things like that are really fun for me because it kind of puts me back into a little nostalgia. But, and I like to do a little more structured, but clients love something looser. Okay, the reason I do the band loose, I'm going to put it down at the end, you guys. I'm going to zhuzh and really get it in there so that I can just actually work on pinning it in. So again, pins, regular pins, twirl a little bit, about 3 times, and then really put it in. So now we have very messy or soft. And we can take, if you have a little bit of like a piece you don't like, this may come from the top. We can also put it in, like you can hide the band. If you hear that growling in the back, those are my little puppies that we can tell we're quarantined, right? So that's Frenchie and Rocky. They're kind of here with us. Okay, going to the side. So this is kind of knotted, soft, braided triangle, going this way, then going the opposite. And now going into where we're going to twist the hair to fit in also. So I'm going to take this section, the side section, and it would be a knot or a Zulu, and I'm going to just twist into the hair. Again, leaving those ends, I can judge those and placing them in.
Okay, we have another question from Kiana.
Yes, Kim.
She wants to know, it's Kiana, do you prefer half up or half down updo?
Half up or half down? I think everything, if it's done well and if it's pretty, my preference is, I like half up and half down. We don't see that as much right now, but maybe in weddings we do, similar to this, because we can put in flowers. But yeah, I think anything is beautiful. I do find that I go in moods. So I'm going to leave a little out in front, but just twisting in. In my day, these were called Zulu knots. Oh, sorry, there they go. I apologize profusely. We didn't have a dog walker. Of course, nobody can go out. Okay. So I have the top. And we'll go to the side. I use clips that won't get too dented in the hair. So again, careful. They won't dent. Now, like I said, the key for me, because this was kind of a shaggy haircut, was having a little bit of control by using a set. It also gives you forgiveness for when you're kind of finishing. That what happens is it'll give you forgiveness because you've got some movement. If the hair falls, like say it's a wedding hairdo and it gets a little weak at the end, the great part about that is that at least with the curls, it'll look very feminine and sexy. I'm always about women, you know, having feminine, sexy hair. Sulu knot, round, soft. You can rope it in different ways. It's very much a rope.
Okay, we have another question from Sasha.
Hi, Sasha.
Wants to know, how long does it typically take to do an updo?
My typical updos would never be any longer than an hour. I can do them quite quickly, but what I do as I'm starting, I prep the hair like I did prior to this because I couldn't blow dry. I didn't want to use the blow dryer in front of you guys. But prepping and setting a loose set, or it blacked out, the camera. Okay, so prior to doing that, what happens, if you're thinking or want to prep it, that's what really works for me is setting the hair first. So again, knots, we can leave those out. What about an hour? If it takes longer, if the hair is very, very long, because this is kind of not that long of hair. If it's very long, make sure that you do plan your time and you charge accordingly.
So what is trending for updos right now? Dagny wants to know.
Trending for updos, sexy hair, a lot of braiding, a lot of, like I did with the braiding and then the relaxing of the braid, pulling it out. I think everybody's doing that, even in editorials. You're going to see a lot of hair in editorial shoots. And that's what our clients ask for. So loose braiding, softness, not such the intense braids, but the loose ones. So see, when I do this, I can pin them in and I can zhuzh a little by taking just a small piece and pulling it up.
Would you say the braiding was influenced by the Game of Thrones?
I think it was definitely the Game of Thrones started us. And then people took it to where they did a lot more with braiding because softer. And I think Game of Thrones did it great. I think TV does influence us.
What kind of hairstyle do you think Tiger King would influence?
I love that show. Well, definitely short in front and long in back, so we could always put up the back, correct? Okay, so if you want a little bit of height, back combing is always great. So remember, take your comb, it's kind of like a C, and you just go to the base. So if you would like some height, but just remember not to do it too strong. Count how many times you do it. That can give you a little bit more softness up there. And then you can comb out with the same amount. But be careful about going willy-nilly on the back combing because I've seen messes with our clients and it takes a long time to get out. One thing I had to teach a lot of our colorists was how to back comb properly because they would end up going all over the board. You need to really just stay holding the hair taut and go down, down, C8.
All right, here's a really good question from Ashley Kidd. She wants to know, when you prep, how long do you allow the curls to cool before you take out the pins?
Okay, that's a good question. I love them to cool down. The old-fashioned hair, remember in the days of Marilyn Monroe and a lot of the old movie stars, the key to hair was definitely the fact they would almost and I did do hair sometimes that time, we would shampoo, set, put them under a dryer, and then what we'd actually do is take them out and they would sit for almost a half hour to cool down, or 15 minutes at least. You want to make sure the hair is cold, not hot, because the minute you touch it, when it's hot, you relax the curl and it won't hold up. Like this one, if I had to do over, didn't love it, she goes, I want something different, I'm fine, I could do that without even a challenge, because the hair is going to hold up. The other thing this set would do is almost look like a romantic set. And it could almost have like that old-fashioned glamour, which I have done for girls for their wedding. So like the second set, I could have it up for the wedding, put the flowers in, and then honestly take it down and almost have like finger wave soft in the hair. So again, twisting and going back. Yeah, the cooling down is probably one of the most important parts. And that's so good. Thank you for reminding me.
Ginger, do you prefer French, Dutch, or fishtail braids?
Oh, I love fishtail.
Sasha wants to know.
Fishtail. Just for me, but they're all kind of pretty. This one I just did, in a way that it's a little bit more French braiding. Fishtail works beautifully, but the hair wasn't long enough to really make it stand out. Okay.
And do you always use braids in updos?
Not always. I do a lot of times. I put braids in the bottom to hold it up tighter. I do a lot of braids now because we're not seeing hair so ratted and back home. So yes, I do braiding to actually give direction to the hair.
That was a question from Desiree Williams. And here's another question from Adrienne Martinez. If a client has her extensions, will you do anything different?
Oh, yes. Now, this is where you really find who does good extensions, correct? If they're clip-ins, of course, and I do a lot of clip-ins for weddings, and it actually works very well. I then seem to do a lot more mohawk sectioning because we can watch where the clip-ins are. You can start them up a little higher, and you can just do curls that softly fit in. But yes, they're a little bit interesting, aren't they, when we work with them? If there's some of the people I work with, they do some very beautiful tight ones, and I have almost no challenge with doing any type of updo, but it's going to have a little bit more fullness.
Would you use an all-purpose comb or a tail comb for braids?
Okay, I use a tail comb, but my husband forgot to bring one for me yesterday. So I was using this one that one of my staff gave me. I had to dig everything out of my closet for here, for doing it today, because I didn't have all my stuff with me. I was supposed to have a tail comb, but generally speaking, I use a tail comb a lot more, but I can use almost any comb. I've done session work to where whenever you get there, you end up, having to just pick up anything and kind of go with it.
So Madison, remember, you have to improvise if necessary.
Yes, improvising. Okay. So don't you wish we could pick up the head? But here's a little bit. It's got French, diagonal, and then a twisting or Zulus, and then pinning. And the pinning is important. Also, when you do use rubber binders, the little ones, don't tighten them too much if you are going to do a little zhuzhing. All right, so there we go on that one. And now I'm going to do another one. I've got time. Yay.
Now, would you use a comb in your hand all the time? Marco wants to know.
Do I use a comb in my hand all the time? Yeah, I keep it in there primarily. I did the brush and then I'll do the comb. A comb is always great to, keep in your hands when you're working.
And where do you start? Do you start on top or you work from the bottom up?
Bottom up, just as I did with even when I set from the bottom, and I try to almost look like if I were doing a haircut. So depending on where I want the balance, the weight, or the shape of the face. So the one thing I want to share with you is, like, if somebody has a really long, elongated face, be careful not to do too much height up in here. You know, kind of give her a little bit more. If it's a long face, give her a little more weight all the way around. If you have a diamond shaped face, something off to the side is always pretty. That's why a lot of times you see diamond shaped faces with an asymmetrical haircut. Just look at the face. I always look at the face, comb the hair around, and then see what I'm going to do. I mean, it's a little hard because doing mannequins, but taking a combination of things that you put together, that's what's important. So you can see it just softly, it'll stay up, it'll hold, and she could dance the night away. Okay, now I'm going to go to my next mannequin.
Okay, before you do that, do you have any challenges with updos? Courtney wants to know.
Well, you know, I was a very blessed hairstylist. I started my career back in the day when we did hair. We mostly set hair all the time. And so, there goes one, but I was just using that to hold. And I'm going to take the other one out too, because now I can't. But I got to work with the founder of Aveda, Horst, and he won so many championships when he was young, and he did dressed hair so beautifully that traveling with him and training with him, it was always something we just did. And we did a combination.
Bring it this way.
Pardon?
Bring it this way.
Okay. All right, my husband's directing me. Okay, so hairdo number 2. I thought I would do one. That one had bangs, and I always have a challenge. Your client comes in with layers, and I don't know what to do and how to get it up, and you have so many layers. That's why I set it, so that you can do that combination. Now, on this mannequin, I ended up with long hair, almost all one length, or it has a few layers in it. And I wanted to give you an idea of, you know, what maybe we could do with no fringe. And you have an opportunity to dress hair. So what I did is, just to take it over to the side a little bit in ponytails, I used these, they're snake-free hair elastics. And I used those, and I did 3 ponytails from the side. So we're going to do 3. And then I'm going to take the front out of the way. I put those big rollers, but they don't like to stay in. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to work with, I'm working with a tail comb, a pad, and Robert, would you pick me up another round of these? They're bobbies in a little bundle, and we're going to do a bundle. What I do with my kit is, in my kit, I separate, and I have everything bundled here. So about 20 bobbies together in brown, and I'll bundle them. So that way it's pretty easy to go to. A good way to separate your kit, you guys, just take your pins, 20. And so when I'm on set or I'm doing a hairdo, I just pick up, I'll say even to somebody, here, I just need 1 bundle or 2. All right, so now we have 3 tails and a long one. Now where I'm going to put the pad is up here. So we're going to have some height, and you can use any type of a pad, drugstore pad, or you can use, you know, the ones from Sharon Blaine has them, and I also get them from Trying to think of the name I got it from, but I can get that for you. Okay, so we got the ponytails. Of course, she doesn't have as much hair, but keeping it very, very simple. And I like simple, and it's all about thinking, what am I going to do? Ponytails help so much, and this is probably one of the easiest. So I start with my second section just because I need to kind of work the base, and I'm trying to hide the pad. So I'm going to work just back combing, back brushing a little bit. And now what we're going to do, see, this one wasn't set. This is very little prep. And I'm just going to actually put it with my fingers and use a pin. So now again, I'm using regular pins, and I'm going to pin upward. Okay. And then as I pin upward, I'm going to take another one and I'm going to hit it so that they kind of connect. And I'll show you what I mean. We take a bobby, ones with the ridges, and then if you can connect them like that, they won't move. Okay? So this is why these pins were made that way. If you have a little bit of opening, now I can stretch it out or do other things.
Now, would you consider that is a perfect styling, or would it be messier? Because Janae wants to know, do you prefer a messier look for Updos?
You know, this one's going to be a little bit more neat, and this one is a little bit neat, and I feel like, you know, the hair is different, and I wanted to give a version of a couple, and even sometimes starting without a set, and it would be just like a flat brush blowout. And don't worry, because you can always do more. Now, the reason I go to the second one is because then we can kind of see if we have to hide things or what we have to do here. So I'm going to separate again.
Uh-oh.
Oops. What's wrong? They lost us?
No. Okay, we're back.
We're back. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bottom one, so I can do it a little bit smaller. I can kind of see where I need to build, how it's going to build. So yeah, I like both. I do love clean classics, and I do love messy too. I guess just whatever the opportunity brings. Sorry, I'm going to have to tilt your head down. And if I get where I need a little to hold something in place, I will use a hairpin and just put it out so I can go back to that area.
So how do you put the bobby pins in if you want to hide them?
If you want to hide them, well, see, that's why I'm going in an upward motion, and I'm taking it, I'll show you in my hand. And what I'm going to do, see, now I've got.
That's a question from Adrienne Martin.
Okay, and so Adrienne, I'm going to take the bobby pin upward, little bit of a diagonal, then I'm going to cross it, but I'm going underneath and not down because I'm going to hold it up. Now, again, I may need to put a hairpin in, the large hairpins, and you can leave them sticking out till the end. Okay, so even this, wrap in my fingers. Our fingers have to be nimble and well washed, right?
Do you recommend using some sort of tacking product throughout the styling or just for finishing?
Oh, yes, I do use, you know what I did do, and I forgot to say it, I am using volumizing tonic. And I did do, when I put the ponytails in, I didn't use it to volumize. I used it actually to comb down on, just to comb tighter. So I do like a tacking product, yes.
That was a good question from Ashley Kidd.
Really good. All right. Our last ponytail. Okay. So now I'm going to pin in the pad. So this pad, and I'm still going to use just regular bobbies so that you don't have to have a repertoire of everything in your kit. If I do go on set, I just usually have a real basic kit. It's nice to have things, but sometimes, you know, you just can't carry it all.
So what is your favorite thing about working with IBW and Aveda Madison students? Guy wants to know.
Okay, well, that for me, I just have to say, I'm originally from Wisconsin. So I have this love for where I grew up and the energy and the sweetness of the people. And I always feel so blessed that that's where I came from. And yeah, just great kids. And I just had a ball. I was there in November, and the talent and the willingness to learn, that's what I think is great. Like the willingness to grow and learn. And I know you guys saw Lupe Voss yesterday, and I'm a good friend, and we talked on the phone, and you hear of all these great artists going in there. What a great organization anyway, you guys. You're just so fortunate, but also you guys picked a great career in a great place, and it takes everybody. Okay, now I'm back combing, and I'm kind of diagonal, so I can kind of cover the pad.
Now, I know this one doesn't have braids, but when you undo the braids, do you start on the top or the bottom?
When I undo the braids on the other one,
When you're loosening the braids.
when I'm loosening, I start at the bottom and I slowly went up.
See, that was Margot. Margot wanted to know.
Okay, good one, Margot.
What are your go-to tools for styling? Joel wants to know.
Okay, tools for styling. Air control, if nothing else. Control force. I did do the volumizing tonic, and an old one, I'm pulling out the spray shine. I love that too. A rat-tail comb, a brush, clips and bobbies. I mean, you can actually do so much with very little. And those of us, I think in the future, like we're getting into wedding season, we're getting into a time where people have a lot of long hair. So, we can, it's good to know how to manipulate it. And I used to, with all my clients, even when they wanted long hair so they would know I was creative, I'd say, but before you go, I'm going to throw a braid in. Before you go, I'm going to do this. And that's how I actually started building my career with guests, so that they honestly knew that I could do something more than just cut. So they didn't go to somebody else. They knew I was creative. So you've got to tell your clients by just doing different things.
Now, do you prefer doing the styling on washed hair or unwashed hair?
Ooh, I like washed. I have to tell you, you guys, I just like to control and put in my own product. I just feel like when you put in your own product, all the time I shampoo, and then I build. So like if I were going to work with her like I did, I just did a flat brush and I built. And you don't have to always set, but then I did volumizing tonics. So that way, it just helps. So you kind of control the hair and what it has. I really don't like to do anybody's hair dirty.
So, but what about when someone has curly hair? How would you approach that?
Well, curls are great. The approaching it with curly hair, I mean, that's where I have fun. I take my sewing kit, and a lot of you got a little sewing kit from me. You can do ponytails and sew in the curls. I mean, there's so much you can do with curly hair, up, down, using pads like this. And yeah, you can it's a number of things, but it's kind of the best way, you guys, is really make sure you play. Sit down and just play with hair, play with mannequins, start to think of what you would do. And remember that, like, you get so many times it's just using different angles. Like I put this one over to the side a little more with ponytails. You can do a lot of different things. It's fun. But you have to think outside the box.
What about if the guest has bangs and for the updo they want the hair to go combed backwards?
Well, then that has to be a set. A great way to do that is, to set it in or blow dry it in. If you want it loosely, just do a loose one where you would just do a round brush set. Like I did the curling iron set, you could do a round brush and do it backwards. And then you may have to iron it back. A great product, again, volumizing tonic to get back. I'm trying to look in front. Boy, do we realize now, I think when we all get back to work, we're gonna really love that we have a mirror. We'll be so respectful of everything we do have.
So when you're doing a consulting, what questions do you ask guests?
Well, first, sometimes I hate to find out what they don't like because there might be too many, but sometimes you have to ask what's like your absolute worst thing, So, but I do find out what they're thinking. And what I do is I brush the hair in the mirror and I watch their body language. So I watch their body language so that I know where they're feeling comfortable. So if they're starting to feel comfortable, like I can tell if they don't like it, I'll say, do you like softer curls, less curl, more curl? And I can do it very quickly by just watching them and how they're reacting.
But do you give them what they ask for or what you think they should have?
Well, if I sell it right, it's kind of like, I remember one thing that horse said to me one time. He said, did they buy anything? And I go, no. And he says, well, you didn't have a need. You didn't fill a need. And so you have to be the authority. But I would tell him, I think this would last longer. Like you ask the question, how long do you want it to last? Tell me your dress. I always ask about the dress. And then say, well, if it's a busy dress, maybe a simpler hairdo. Watch, recommending everything. See, now these I will be taking out. Watch, in your communication, how they feel comfortable. Okay.
So basically, you want to design a style that goes along with whatever the client, the guest is wearing at an event.
At an event, yes. Well, we do a lot of event stuff out here. We are very, very much into, and it's not just red carpet and Oscars and Emmys, but it's just events. There's so many. And if you're good at it and it's soft, and looks great, you guys are just going to feel like you can really run the world if you do know how to dress hair.
Okay, here's a good one. So you did 3 ponytails, right?
Yes, 3 ponytails.
Why is that?
Well, I'm going to show you. All right, so I'm starting to get up here, trying to comb, but now if I do have places I need to push in, now I'm going to finish with my last ponytail.
Yeah.
And now I can make sure that there's no bun showing under here.
And do you use pads in a lot of that too?
I do use a lot.
Is that to direct the shape you want?
Can you grab me more pin? Yes, it's to give a lot of height. Pads are great, and I charge them for the pad. Pads are great to have height where you don't have to back comb so much. Because sometimes people do not want as much back combing in their hair as, they don't want to take it down and doesn't, work, or it's too much hairspray, too much product. I mean, if you're doing artwork, it might be different, but people want to go home and feel good about it.
What do people use the pads after they take their hair down at home?
Well, you can have them, I ask mine sometimes if they want to bring them back. I always use them for mannequins or practice.
But you charge them. So.
But I do charge them, but they just have them at home and they can take them into their hairdresser. It's just like taking in your extensions. It's like taking in your extensions.
So when you're backcombing, do you just do the surface or the subsection?
I do it in sections, and then I want to see how many times. My key to backcombing, or anybody's key, is first you want to do, see, like when you're backcombing, like I might do it underneath if I don't want it to show, to leave it softer, or I may end up doing backcombing, counting strokes, so how many I need, and that's how many it'll take me to brush it out using this brush. So that's what I know.
So Lily wants to know, where do you get your inspiration?
You know, I watch people. And if you do watch people, I mean, we do see it on TV, but I also think that, you know, just watching people, like anywhere we go, we see them starting to wear their hair different. We start to see, I notice a lot of my clients now, because they always had ombres and it's long, and now they're wanting it up. So my inspiration it does come from movies, and it comes from people.
But
so
not much from Pinterest, someone wants to know.
Yeah, Pinterest I can do too.
Very little.
Yeah, I mean, Pinterest is okay. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm a real bookworm. You know, I love books.
That would make you a computer.
Yeah. That would make me a computer?
Computer worm.
Okay. It's so funny, you guys. If you were in here, you'd hear my dog snoring.
Do you choose hairspray based on the nature of the hair, whether it's dense or light?
Well, what I love about air control is you can build it and build it. And air control is such a great builder. So you can keep on going and keep on going, and it really is, it's such a great hairspray. And you know, back in my day, we used to have a lot of fatal net, and it's so nice not to have that now. And so we had a lot of, you know, it was really using a lot of bad hairsprays. So I do, but I love, if I do want control force, for the last end of it, I go, oh, let's hit it with control.
So if it was towards the end of the world, what product would you keep?
If it's towards the end of the world, if we were in Armageddon, probably my go-to, because it depends on if I wear my hair. I love to be curly when I do my hair curly, because it can actually make my straight hair be curly. And I do it straight. Let's see, what would I use?
That was a question that I actually changed from, is it Marlene? Yeah.
Control. You changed it? My last thing, what would be my favorite?
Well, her question actually was, you know, what's your, like, one product?
My one product, I think you can do anything with hairspray, kids. I think you can do anything if you have a little hairspray.
Do you have a go-to style that works for clients, or do you just consult and figure out what
My
needs to be done?
go-to style for clients, meaning in hairdressing or in hair cutting. I do a lot of cuts.
Styling. Well, let's just stick to styling.
Okay, my go-to, a lot of chignons, but messy, braided, loose. Yeah, very different. You know, they can all be a little different.
Okay, someone wants to know, how much do you charge for a pad?
Depending on what I pay at the store, and I always up it just a little bit to have them on hand. So some pads are like $10, $20, depending on the size.
So you market about 50%?
Yeah,
Oh, double it. Let's double it.
Let's double it.
Okay.
We need to,
Where can you get a pad?
you can just go to beauty supplies. Drugstores have them too. I shop a lot at the drugstores, you guys. They have some great little, especially little donuts. Okay, it's black. You want black? Okay, so you can see now it's
Bring
got
it
a little,
closer to the camera.
bring it closer. We do a little bit more
A little
back,
higher.
a little higher,
Turn it.
turn it.
Do a 360.
So you've got it more up,
Yeah.
and then you can loosen. And this is with no bangs, so there you go. So, all right. So one with no bangs, one with bangs. Prepping, I think, is your main thing. I like to start with a clean head. And you can always have hair that is, like these were prepped with cherry almond bark, because I happen to have that at home, shampoo and conditioner. And then this one was prepped with volumizing tonic. Even though I wasn't looking for a lot of height, I even use this a lot, you know, for when I'm doing real tight ponytails, you guys. I like volumizing tonic. And then I also, like I said, I will work with the air control and the control force. Shine, depending on the client or the guest, shine is something that most people love. They like to see it healthy. And spray shine is something that's great for updos. So in your kit, I have elastics, small ones you can get from the drugstore, small elastics. Then also, remember, don't put it too tight. And then I used mostly these pins, and you can see I kept them in the plastic. And I didn't have a rat tail at home, so I did this one work better. A Mason Pearson brush, this is a great investment, but you can also have a Denman that's got a great one. There's a lot of great ones now that are bristle and combination of bristle and plastic. So anyway, those are the things I use. The curling iron, generally 1.5 or 1 1/4 inch. And that is really what we do. And then as we finish, it's easy to take down. It's easy to, and I really want to thank you guys for having me, and stay inspired and do good things for your health and for hair. So enjoy, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. Any more questions? Last one. And then we have to decide who wins.
Yeah.
So who did we decide who wins? Oh, thank
Pick a winner.
you, Jamie. I'm gonna put, okay, let me see. What was one of the good questions? There was a couple of them, Robert.
Well,
I know I make it look easy, but it is easy when you practice, okay? Just keep practicing, you guys. A lot of stuff at home. Look at, we got time now, right? Do you have it, Robert? One question.
okay. Ashley Kidd, she asked a lot of good questions.
Ashley Kidd, you're the winner from me. All right? Thanks, guys.